Hello and welcome back. Let's begin where the trouble started, at that Manhattan art gallery. Ava and Alexis, following the trail of Delilah's mysterious wrist tattoo, felt almost like stepping back into the glamorous, dangerous world the show gave us in the 90s, when international intrigue and hidden fortunes were everyday fare. I've always admired how the writers use small details, like a tattoo, to open enormous doors. That ink, linked to the artist Kiyoko, wasn't just pretty artwork. It became the thread that pulled our two heroines straight into the unknown. Watching Ava's sharp eyes light up when she recognized the design reminded me of all the times she has proven herself smarter than anyone gives her credit for. And Alexis, ever the cautious one, insisting they handle this quietly rather than letting Brooklyn and Chase charge in, well, that's the mother in her speaking, the woman who has spent years trying to protect everyone around her. I found myself nodding along, thinking how wise she sounded. Yet even as I cheered their partnership, a little voice in the back of my mind whispered that mixing Ava's ambition with Alexis's sense of justice is never simple. Manhattan may be far from Port Charles, but the shadows there are just as long. What they uncovered, though, went far beyond any of us expected. The connection between that tattoo and Rick's hidden past hit me like a thunderclap. For years, we've seen Rick as the charming but troubled lawyer who drifts in and out of our lives. Sometimes hero, sometimes villain, always carrying secret. To learn that he wasn't merely a hostage tucked away in some dark basement, but actually held knowledge of a long-lost Cassadine art fortune, one that Sidwell has been hunting with ruthless determination, changed everything I thought I understood about him. I've always believed Rick's greatest flaw was his inability to stay on the straight path for long. He loves deeply, yet that love often tangles with schemes and shortcuts. This revelation feels true to the man we've known. Remember how he once tried to rebuild his life only to slip back into the gray areas? Here he is again, guardian of a treasure that could rewrite fortunes and rewrite lives. Sidwell's involvement raises the stakes even higher. That man moves through the story like a storm cloud, and I worry for anyone who stands in his way. In my opinion, the writers have done something clever here. They've taken a character we thought we knew and shown us he was never just a pawn. He's been playing a much longer game, and I respect that kind of layered storytelling even while it makes me anxious for the people I care about. The moment that truly took my breath away came when Alexis finally confronted Rick in that secret basement. I could almost feel the damp chill of those stone walls as she stood there, demanding answers. For a woman who has fought so hard to build an honest life after years of chaos, realizing she had been gently steered, some might say manipulated by Ava, toward this very discovery must have felt like a betrayal wrapped in sisterly concern. Ava's plan, it seems, wasn't simply about helping a friend. It was about positioning herself to claim a piece of that enormous Cassadine wealth. I've watched Ava for decades. And while I've grown to appreciate her complexity, she's a survivor who learned early that the world doesn't hand out second chances. I still find myself disappointed when she slips back into old habits. Does she ever truly change? Or does she simply become more skilled at hiding her moves? This time, I worry she's playing with fire, and Alexis is the one who might get burned. Yet I also understand her drive. Life has taught Ava that security is never guaranteed, and a fortune like that could change everything for her daughter and for herself. Still, using Alexis's protective instincts against her feels wrong to me. I keep thinking about all the times these two women have leaned on each other through divorces, illnesses, and courtroom battles. Friendship like theirs should be a safe harbor, not another battlefield. My heart aches for Alexis because I know how much she values loyalty, and this revelation will test her in ways I'm not sure she's ready for. And then there's the shadow hanging over Molly. The thought that the truth about Rick's captivity could explode right in the middle of her book tour fills me with genuine dread. Molly has worked so hard to carve out her own identity separate from the whirlwind that is her mother and aunt. She's built a career, found love, and tried to believe that the Davis women have finally found solid ground. To have that belief shattered, learning that the very people she trusts most have kept such a dangerous secret, would be devastating. I've seen too many family fractures on this show over the years, from the Quartermains to the Spencers, and each one leaves scars that never quite heal. This one feels especially cruel because it strikes at the heart of what Molly has always needed: certainty that her mother isn't hiding another disaster behind her calm exterior. I can picture her standing at a podium, smiling for the cameras, while inside she wonders how much of her life has been built on half-truths. The writers are walking a delicate line here, and I hope they handle Molly's pain with the care it deserves. She's not a child anymore, yet she still carries that little girl longing for her family to be whole. If the secret comes out, and I suspect it will, because secrets in Port Charles have a way of surfacing at the worst possible moment, it could push the entire Davis clan into a darkness we haven't seen in years. I find myself whispering a quiet prayer for them, the way I used to when my own children faced their teenage storms. What ties all of this together in the most surprising knot is Rick's deeper connection to Kiyoko herself and, through her, to the mystery surrounding Phoebe's father. I've turned that name over in my mind many times, Kiyoko, meaning pure child or holy child. It felt too deliberate to be coincidence, especially with a baby at the center of so much uncertainty. Delilah's tattoo spoke of admiration, perhaps even gratitude, yet now we learn Rick may have known Kiyoko long before any of us suspected. Could he have been the one who helped her, or used her, in ways that directly touch the little life Phoebe represents? The possibility that Rick might be more than just an interested bystander, that he could actually hold the key to who Phoebe's real father is, has left me pacing my living room in the evenings. On one hand, it would explain so much about his protectiveness and his willingness to stay hidden. On the other, it drags Ava and Alexis into a fresh kind of madness, because now their investigation isn't just about art or money, it's about a child's future and the fragile line between truth and danger. I keep asking myself whether Rick's involvement makes him a hero trying to shield everyone or simply another player who can't resist pulling strings. My gut tells me it's a bit of both, which is why I've always found him fascinating. Yet this new layer places Ava and Alexis under incredible pressure. They went to Manhattan seeking answers about one woman's past and instead walked into a storm that threatens everything they hold dear. Will they stand together against the coming fallout, or will the weight of secrets finally pull them apart? I honestly don't know, and that uncertainty is what keeps me coming back day after day. Looking at the larger picture, I believe the writers are reminding us why we fell in love with General Hospital in the first place. It's never been just about romance or courtroom drama. It's about people flawed, stubborn, loving people trying to navigate a world that refuses to stay still. The Cassadine legacy, with all its glittering danger, has threaded through decades of stories, and bringing it back now feels like greeting an old, slightly terrifying acquaintance. Sidwell's pursuit of that treasure adds a delicious sense of urgency, while the personal stakes for Alexis and Ava keep the story grounded in the relationships we cherish. I may not agree with every choice the characters make. Ava's manipulation stings, and I wish Alexis had seen it coming, but I understand why they make them. Life, real or fictional, is messy. We protect the ones we love, sometimes too fiercely. We chase security even when the path leads through shadows. And when the truth finally surfaces, as it always does, we pick up the pieces and try again. That's the quiet courage I see in these women, and it's the same courage I've seen in so many of you who have watched through heartbreaks, weddings, births, and goodbyes. I've watched Alexis for decades, and I can see the change in her. She's always been the careful one, the lawyer who weighs every risk. Yet lately, she seems determined to rewrite the rules on her own terms. She and Ava have started talking about adjustments, subtle changes in how they handle Rick's secrets, and that Cassadine art fortune. It's not just about uncovering truth. They want leverage, a firmer grip on whatever comes next. Ava, of course, has always understood power. She sees the potential in that hidden treasure and in Delilah's tangled past. Together, they're trying to steer the narrative before anyone else can. I find myself smiling a little at their teamwork even while I worry. These are two strong, smart women who have survived more than their share of storms. But control is a slippery thing in Port Charles. The more they reach for it, the more the story seems to push back. And then there's Delilah herself. Her legacy, that quiet inheritance she left behind, is turning the whole situation wilder than anyone imagined. It's not just the tattoo or the connection to Kiyoko anymore. Delilah's estate, her hidden assets, and the questions surrounding Phoebe's future have become the spark that's igniting everything. I keep thinking about how one woman's past choices are now rippling outward, touching Rick's captivity, Sidwell's ruthless hunt, and even the fragile trust inside the Davis family. Every new detail about what Delilah owned or who she protected before the baby arrived seems to make the danger sharper. Alexis and Ava thought they were stepping in to tidy up loose ends. Instead, they're discovering that Delilah's legacy is a puzzle with pieces still missing, and every piece they find pulls them deeper into chaos. I've seen enough soap opera cycles to recognize this pattern. Families chase security, only to find that the very thing they're chasing brings more trouble. Alexis wants to protect Molly from the truth about Rick's basement imprisonment, yet the longer they adjust their plans around that secret, the closer it edges toward exploding during Molly's book tour. Ava, for all her street-smart instincts, is betting that controlling Delilah's remaining assets will give them the upper hand against Sidwell. But legacies have a way of revealing more than we bargained for. Is Delilah's estate truly a gift, or is it one more trap wrapped in pretty paper? I can't help asking myself that question every afternoon when the show ends and I'm left staring at the credits. What touches me most is how personal this feels for the Davis women. They've fought so hard to hold their family together. Now the very adjustments they're making for control are testing every bond they have. I've lived long enough to know that real life works the same way sometimes. We reach for the steering wheel thinking we can keep everyone safe, only to discover the road itself is shifting. General Hospital has always shown us that truth, and it's showing it again right now.